Hi, I'm Pav.
And I'm Neil.
And welcome to the Top 10 of Anything podcast.
Let's start the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The detective can come in various guises, from super sleuths to against-the-rules crime chasers to wisecracking private dicks. The detective, in whatever shape or form, can be exciting and enthralling to watch, listen to and read. Here's our very own special dick. It's Neil with 10 fascinating fictional detective facts.
Thank you very much, Pav. So the word detective for a crime solver was first used in 1843.
I ate in the bathroom. I had some mints.
The first known use of the phrase detective story was used in 1883 in the title of a crime story by the American author Anna Catherine Green.
Go ahead. Make my day.
The first literary detective was probably C. Auguste Dupin in Edgar Allan Poe's 1841 short story Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Zoinks!
Wilkie Collins' The Woman in White, 1859, was the first full-length detective novel.
It's Basil Brush that said, bone.
One of the great mysteries of the crime novel is the identity of the author of the Notting Hill mystery, which is still not known for sure.
Well, then, Hastings, the rules are wrong.
Conan Doyle is said to have modelled Sherlock Holmes on Scottish surgeon and lecturer Joseph Bell, who was the pioneer in forensic science.
We think we know how he did it.
Oh, how he couldn't have done it. He hasn't been in for weeks.
Despite the title of the TV series, Inspector Morse, he was a chief inspector in all of the books.
Mom, will you read me a story before I go to bed?
Agatha Christie is the world's best-selling fiction writer, according to the Guinness Book of Records. Her 70-some-odd crime novels and short story collections have sold an estimated 2 billion copies, although some estimates peg it up at 4 billion.
You know, there's only one thing that I'm not clear about.
And the first detective film is often cited as Sherlock Holmes Baffled, a very short mutoscope reel created between 1900 and 1903 by Arthur Marvin.
That is correct, yes. Chimpanzee Monkey.
And one of the first American TV detective shows, Martin Kane Private Eye, was sponsored by the United States Tobacco Company. It aired as a radio show and at the same time as a television series starting in 1949. It is considered one of the earliest successful cops and robbers show.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Is that it?
That is.
Wonderfully done, Neil. Sorry, I nearly lost it because a couple of the little clips there, I think, threw me and threw you a little bit as well. But
it did.
But here we are, top 10 fictional detectives, and there's no one better. I mean, she's the CC that gives us all motors. No, that's not. Oh, I thought I worked it out.
CC that gives us motors? What is that all?
I had it all. I was going to write it down, and I thought, no, I'm going to be smooth about it. CC,
never works.
Motors. No, that motors that sends our motors running. Ah, bollocks! I really had it all. I thought I had it. It's Claire Carter, ladies and gentlemen.
Next time, just go with C squared and let that be it.
Yeah.
But I was trying to be
hilarious.
a real compliment that she's the CC that gets our motors running. That's what it was going to be. See,
that's better. CC Motors.
My limited
CC
knowledge.
Motors.
So, yeah, my
That's my side
limited knowledge
business.
of engines. There are CCs in engines, aren't there?
Yeah.
It would have worked if I hadn't butchered it the way that I did. But hello, Claire. How are you?
That's the best introduction I've ever had in my life. Honestly, it
And
really
if you
was.
come back again, it'll be better next time.
Oh God!
I missed you guys. How are
we
you?
missed you too.
We missed you too.
I think the last time we spoke was January for the
Your 24-hour
the 24-hour thing where we had a bit of a party, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was amazing. How did you feel after it?
I felt fine. It was
You did?
strange. I was buzzing, especially for the fact that I think the last hour I was just gorging on fish and chips that the local fish and chippy sent up for me for free.
Oh no!
I was loving it.
Nice.
I was absolutely loving it, and I think it was the following day that I felt really, really. I was like buzzing. It was. I was surprised I managed to get through. So I hate to say easily because I'm gonna have a go at doing it again in January. So I don't want to tempt fate and think, well, that one was easy, so this one's going to be even easier. But it was, and I think it helped. And I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's backside, but everybody that came on to help me really helped me. I think that was the thing. To have people to chat to every hour to talk about something different. You know, there were times when the thing is, doing interviews and podcasts with Neil, it's always great because you have a little bit of time to think of another question because the other person is talking. You know, when you're on your own, you've got to listen all the time. And that's really boring that you've got to listen all the time.
Also, but then imagine, not only have you got to listen all the time, but imagine then if they're a bad talker. And is just, it's the worst. Yeah. It really is. Just giving one word answers, monotone. Oh my word, kill me when those interviews come up.
You're an old pro, aren't you? I mean, again, that sounds terrible to say that to a young lady.
Well, it's 16 years in the BBC now, which is absolutely terrifying. Yeah, I know, right? That's what I say. So, and I've got the bags to prove it now as well. So
I know you wouldn't say who your worst interview has been, but who's your worst interview ever been with? Has it been with anybody really, really famous? Have you ever had really famous ones that have gone bad?
Oh gosh, God, yeah. And I think also there are ones where you walk away actually feeling deflated. There've been a number of celebrities where I've stood on the wings going, I can't believe I'm about to interview them. This is amazing. And then I've sat down in front of them and I've walked away and just thought, oh, really? Is that it? And probably people that I know nationally here, everybody loves and adores. And I don't know, after a while, actually, just sort of get over that and realize that not everybody is going to be the hero and the most amazing interview of your life. And then, I've met absolute pillocks who are misogynistic. I can't say.
No,
of course you can't.
To be fair, Neil's got a lot better now. Neil is a lot better.
Yeah, I try to be,
I'm glad my feedback form to the podcast works. So
yes. I can remember I used to work in a clothes shop in town, the very first job I ever had, and they used to get royalty and famous people coming in. And I remember saying to the boss, what happens if Princess Anne comes in, or anybody, because obviously they all live locally. What happens if Prince Charles comes in? And he said, just remember, they all leave smells in the toilet the same as everybody else.
Lovely.
And every time I saw Anne on the TV, all I could think of was the smell that she left in the toilet. And I thought, that's a pretty bad thing to do.
Yeah. And when she came in, did you ask her about it?
I absolutely did. No, I didn't. I just had a quick sniff and
which air freshener do you use?
Yeah, exactly. Claire, have you ever had somebody that's been downright rude though when you've interviewed them, rather than just hard work?
Do you know, actually, it's normally the public who are the rudest. Right. If I'm completely honest, I actually remember being at Gloucester Rugby years ago when I used to be the one going around at the end of the game going, can you just tell me what you thought of the match? And then all Vox Pops, as they're known, and then they go into the match day show. And I remember I stopped one chap and I just said, I just wonder if I could ask you a few questions. I'm with the local BBC. And he stood back, he looked me up and down and he went, you work for the BBC?
Oh,
and then just turned around and walked off.
Oh my God.
Well, that's not nice.
So unfortunately, probably the rudest people, and that's mainly because famous people, you could probably give them a bit of a bad rep, couldn't you, if you wanted to be mean? But no, you can meet some nasty public people, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But then lovely people as well. The loveliness outweighs the negative.
Yeah.
I think in all the years that we've been doing it, Neil, we've been very, very lucky that I think Kevin Godley from 10cc was the only one that was a little bit snooty, but that was because that was because Neil asked him about I'm Not in Love.
I didn't realise he wasn't involved in the writing.
And Kevin Godley went, I never wrote that one. And then it was a little bit frosty after that.
Excellent.
So that's
quite a good soundbite though.
Yeah, I could sort of understand him being a little bit peeved at that.
Yeah, but how was I to know when his
name's
there's
pretty much like Google, Neil. You could have.
Well, yeah, but it's like we said, we used to go in blind, and I thought he was part of it. Part of that, right? Did you know he didn't write that?
I did actually. I kept myself very quiet just so that you could.
He set you up. He
I
set you
didn't
up
know.
on
Of
that.
course
Well,
I
that's
didn't know
good, you
that.
guys. People shouldn't be rude to you. If they are, you tell me and I'll phone them.
Absolutely. Right. We'll remember that now. You'll be getting a load of calls. Okay. Get rid of this cough. Right. Fictional detectives, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to count down our top 10 fictional detectives. How easy or hard was this top 10 for you, Claire? We'll start with you.
I found it really easy, but then don't be thinking mine are going to raise the kind of the intellectual roof on this one. I'm not even entirely sure all of them are detectives, if I'm honest.
That's
so
fine. This podcast is not about intellectual. I can't even say the word.
So, I mean, mine was quite easy, but my reasons for loving them vary. However, what I will tease you with, I have one that I'm hoping will blow your mind.
Wow.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm just going to leave that there. But yeah, I've enjoyed
tease.
this.
What a tease that is. Okay, Neil, did you find it quite easy?
Not the hardest top 10 I've ever had to write, but I did struggle for a while what to put at number one. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
What about
I
you?
changed it a few times.
I had my top 10 pretty much set, and then a couple just like dinked into my head, and it just completely changed the whole sort of like, I thought, oh no, he's going to have to go there. So that means that one's going to have to go there. So
order was probably the thing I found the hardest.
Yeah, that is the hardest thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, then, Claire, kick us off with your number 10.
You may not even know who he is. Seeley Booth.
Seeley Booth. Okay,
So,
please explain.
If anybody out there has ever seen the TV show Bones, pretty much all of mine are TV based, by the way. Bones was one of my favorite programs years ago when it started. And Seeley Booth plays the kind of detective FBI person, whatever, teams up with the lovely Emily Deschanel, who is Bones, who is she's not an anthropologist. What are they called? Studies bones. Okay. Whatever that's called. And anyway, they're this crime fighting duo. I think it ran for like 10 seasons, and it was just American drama at its best and worst. And Seeley comes in for me at number 10 because he's absolutely beautiful.
Is that the guy who played Angel?
Yes. What's his? I should be more prepared with this. David Boreanaz.
Yes.
Yeah.
My wife loved that show. She had all of them on DVD.
And Bones was it was really clever, because then there was this will they, won't they with Bones and Booth. And so he's in at my number 10 because he was just also dreamy and fired a gun and would keep you safe.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Wasn't she like always like she's like just in a mood all the time, or just didn't seem
No, she was very intelligent. So she seemed a bit weird in the way that she spoke and how she kind of gave out her emotions, but that's just because she was off the chart genius. But that's where they worked so well, because Booth kind of spoke to her emotional side, which she needed to learn to bring out.
Okay. And it was that Zoe's sister?
Yes, from New Girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I've never watched it, and I believe Stephen Fry was in it, wasn't he?
Stephen Fry turns up a number of times, and also the dude, Longbeard, from the band, I want to say ZZ Top. I don't think it is, the musician. Anyway, I would say probably the first 3, 4, 5, you get up to about season 6, and there's some tense, scary moments. It was a really well-written show because it was based on books, and the author of the books had a hand into the TV show. So I would, if nobody's seen it and you want to binge a show, I'd highly recommend Bones.
Okay,
fair enough. Go on then, Neil, you're number 10.
So it's Morgan Freeman as Somerset in Seven. Took me a while to think of this one because, where to put him, but I have put him at number 10. But he's a character that I would have loved to have seen more of. When you see him in the movie, he's like your comfort, isn't he? He's the guy that you think he's all right to be with.
But he's a guy that's seen it all and done it all. He's the end of his career, isn't he?
Weather detective. But I would have liked to. It's certainly ripe to bring him back, whether it be a prequel, his earlier years, or even his later years. I just think he's a character that we could definitely see more of, because I find him mesmerising in the role. Have you seen Seven, Claire?
I'm too much of a scaredy cat.
I wouldn't even say it's a horror movie.
sort of a bit of a psychological thriller, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Kind of.
yeah.
Films and storylines, and they stick in my head. Like,
Right.
I will go to bed thinking about that film probably for a very, very long time. So I remember my sister seeing it, and she told me how amazing it was, but then also told me lots of stuff that you see, and I was just like, oh, I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
Do you know the story of it? Do you know what the story is? And
yeah. So I'm a bit like, oh.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It is an absolutely fantastic movie. Yeah. But if you could stomach it, I'd highly recommend watching it.
Okay. All right.
What's in the bags? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that'll stay with you forever. That ending.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, my number 10. I think you're too young for this, Claire. This one, it's Eddie Shoestring.
Christ, there's a blast from the past.
That is a blast from the past. Sunday night, Eddie Shoestring, or Shoestring was the name of the show. Trevor Eve, who was a private detective. I can't remember whereabouts.
Oh my God,
Jersey,
Trevor
wasn't
Eve.
it? No, not Jersey. That was Bergerac, wasn't it?
That was Bergerac. Yeah, Trevor Eve. Yeah,
wasn't he in Silent Witness?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Trevor Eve's great.
Yeah, and Shoestring was one of those programs when you were a kid, a bit like That's Life, that when it came to Sunday, you would keep asking your mum and dad questions so that they wouldn't say to you, right, time for bed, you got school in the morning. And you knew as soon as if the show started, you were safe and you could watch the show. So Shoestring was one of those shows. The only one I can remember was a Christmas episode, and it was a racetrack. I think it was a racetrack, and it would overheat and then it would blow up. And Shoestring had to go around trying to find like these 5 racetracks that had been sold, and it was a race against time. He had to get, and this was doing this like Christmas Eve. And I can remember that there was one left that he had to find, and this kid crept down on Christmas Eve and opened up his presents and plugged it all in. And Shoestring, spoilers, Shoestring managed to get in there and turn the power off just before the boy was going to turn it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I mean, I've never watched it back, so I'm pretty sure it doesn't hold up, but that was 70s, I think, wasn't it? Shoestring.
It was, yeah, late 70s, maybe early 80s. Maybe.
With a great with a great theme tune that I can't remember, but I just remember that it was like, bow, bow, bow. No, I don't know. I don't know why I did that.
Down.
That sounded more like a porn film, didn't it? So I've been told. Yeah, so I've been told. I wouldn't know. Okay, then, Claire, your number 9, please.
My number 9 is the wonderfully brilliant David Caruso in CSI Miami, and he played the crime scene investigator Horatio Kane. Now, for anybody that hasn't, I've only delved into the CSI World Miami version. And that was years ago when I used to live with a good friend of mine called Matt. And he said, oh, you've got to watch CSI Miami because it's got Horatio in it. What? And there was this whole thing at the time of Horatio, the sunglasses, and the one-liners. And again, you know, your normal American crime drama. But the great thing that David did, and I don't mean any disrespect here, it wasn't like he was your Seeley Booth. He wasn't your kind of hunky detective. It was almost like your Trevor Eve, gorgeous ginger hair, but he had these sunglasses that he would just put on and take off in such a fashion, and then it would normally be followed by a one-liner. So he'd be hovering over a body. I remember this one episode, he'd be hovering over a body, and he looks up into the distance, and you just hear one of his colleagues go, "We're going to do a drive-by?" He goes, "Drive-by Miami style." And he just goes, and it's like, I mean, the whole thing is such cheese. It's unreal, but it worked because it was Miami and because it was sunshine. But yeah, David Caruso, he played it really, really well. And you were always rooting for Horatio, and no other series to me gave you a Horatio like him. So that's my number.
Have you watched any of the other CSIs? Because I
never
not watched any of them, I must admit.
No, it was just that one because my housemate was into it.
Right. Okay, Neil, have you ever seen it?
I've watched a few of the Vegas ones, especially the one that Tarantino directed, the I can't remember what it's called, where somebody's buried alive, and he directed 2 episodes, and I found that really tense, and I started watching it more. And I noticed it's back on CSI Vegas. It's just come back on Sky.
Oh, right.
So whoever the original William Peterson, I can't think what his name is in the show, is back.
Oh,
so
right.
everybody's like getting crazy that the original guys come back.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Think he needed some money.
Yeah. So I might sort of watch that and have a look. But yeah, it's been a while since I've seen a CSI.
Okay.
But I found them very... They're another one of those TV series that have really famous guest appearances on.
Yeah. And great theme tunes. And that was the thing we loved about CSI Miami, because it was another Who track.
That was the
and when that kicked in, and it was epic.
Yeah. Okay, then. Neil, you're number 9.
So this is a literary detective that I think is so ready to come up on the small screen or the big screen. It's Charlie Parker, John Connolly's hero or anti-hero. He basically is a private eye that delves... Let me give you a bit of pretext. In the first book, he lost his family to a serial killer, both his wife and child, and then became this private detective to try and help other people with things. And he delves into the darker side of the human nature, and it gets quite creepy, and his books are fantastic. And he's very much a character that you can almost relate to, because he has the same woes and worries that everybody else has. I mean, he's American based, but you can, he has everyday problems like we all do, but whilst also trying to combat these dark elements of crime and sort out these, be a detective. But like I say, it's crying out for either a movie or a TV series. It's just written purely with that in mind, to me, because you picture it as you read it, and I just love the character. I really do.
What are the books called?
So the first one that introduces you is Every Dead Thing, and then they go from there. But if anybody wants to start, I would start on that book. I read it when I was going to America, and I read the whole book on the flight over. It was that good. Yeah. And then I thought, shit, I've only brought one book with me. But yeah, I would, highly recommend. If people like to read, get into it. Like I say, it is dark. Some of it can be a bit scary if because he touches on things that make you uncomfortable. The subject matters, but they're done very well, very, very well. Not sort of, they're not extreme. They're not sort of sensationalism. They're just really, really good books. So
okay.
All right, and that was Charlie Parker. You said was his
name? He's
that's the
anti-hero. Yeah, he's not the sort of hero like somebody else I'll mention later on coming up, where you know that if he's in a room with a load of guys, he's going to get a good beating. He's not going to beat them. So he's that sort of character. He's an everyday guy. Okay.
Thank you very much, Neil. Okay, my number 9. I'm staying in the 70s for some reason. He was my hero, one of my heroes in the 70s, but definitely a TV hero from Starsky and Hutch. It was Dave Starsky. I think every kid that was playing Starsky and Hutch in the 70s never wanted to be Hutch. They always wanted to be Starsky, mainly because he had that cool cardigan that my nan knitted me one of those cardigans, but for some reason she knitted me brown and white instead of white and brown, which is what the real one was. So I was like, this isn't screen accurate. You
still haven't got over it, have you?
Yeah, I was really, come on, it should be screen accurate.
Maybe you should have sent her the actual picture and not the negative.
Maybe that's what I should have done. Maybe I should have got her just to watch. But maybe because she watched it on a black and white TV.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I don't know. But he was the one for me. I think it's if anybody, have you seen Starsky and Hutch, Claire? You're a bit too young for that as well, aren't you?
So I have seen some reruns, but I mean, the main one I know, didn't Owen Wilson do the reboot film?
That's right. Yes, and Ben Stiller. Yeah, it wasn't a patch on. I mean,
they made it.
You can't remake that, can you?
Yeah, it was more on that comedy, and it's definitely a TV show of the 70s without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
but it was the same as like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Everybody wanted to be the Sundance Kid. They didn't want to be Butch Cassidy because he was boring. Well, Hutch was boring, even though he would jump on like car roofs just straight on his ass. How he did that, I'll never know. But Starsky was the man. Starsky was the one that always got the woman. Starsky was the man that, well, when I was a kid, had a hairy chest. I thought, what a man. Look at him with his hairy chest, you know? And it was like, when I got a hairy chest, I thought, I'm never shaving that because I'm like Starsky now. I got a hairy chest like Starsky. And he had a cool gun as well. So what
did
more
he own the car?
Good shout.
Yeah, that was his car. Yeah.
Yeah, because that car
red,
was cool.
Was it a Torino? I think
Torino,
it was.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, what a car. What a car. Okay, Claire, your number 8, please.
My number 8, she's beauty and she's grace. She's Miss United States. The film bringing you Sandra Bullock. I class her as a detective agent. I said mine are quite loosely based. Gracie Lou Freebush, Miss Congeniality, because she is the one who believes in her cause and her case. And actually, I want to shout for the sequel here as well. So obviously she plays like FBI agent, whatever. I love Sandra Bullock. In my book, she can do no wrong. And those films have always made me laugh. I think some of them, but I think the second one got a bit of a bad rep. But yeah, I just love them. So, and also I'm putting a female in there because going through actually the roles of detectives, yes, there are definitely some, and there are more coming through now. And I may have a few more later, but I just wanted to put Sandra Bullock in there because I think she's great. And it's nice to see her as a police officer, FBI agent, detective, whatever.
I have to say, I've never seen either of those films. Claire's
She's beauty and she's great. She's Miss United States. How have you not seen Miss?
Well, I don't need to see it now. You've pretty much done the movie for me there, haven't you? Isn't William Shatner in those movies?
William Shatner's in them. Michael Caine's in them.
Oh my God.
Well, honestly, Regina King is in the second one. There's a whole Tina Turner. You've got to watch them. That's your homework.
Okay.
Been a long time since I've seen them, but they were funny. I did find them funny.
Yeah,
and she's always good, though, isn't she?
I would want. It's probably the Sandra Bullock or Cameron Diaz I'd want to play in a movie about my life.
Okay,
would be very interesting. But you know.
The big question I have now, I went and saw. Is it The Lost City that Sandra Bullock was in?
Oh, I heard that was dreadful.
It's not great, I must admit. But is it me or does Sandra Bullock now look like Michael Jackson? I mean, Michael Jackson, like what he looked like in his later years. I cannot get Michael Jackson's face out of my head when I see Sandra Bullock for some reason.
Is this the plastic surgery that she's had has changed?
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether she's had plastic surgery.
She has.
The look of disdain on Claire's face.
Well, so I went to see Top Gun today.
Oh, did you?
And the trailer before was the trailer for Bullet Train, which is the new Brad Pitt and Sandra Bullock film.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, Sandra Bullock looks a bit different. She looks like someone. And I haven't been able to put my finger on it. Until now. What have you done? No, she doesn't look like Michael Jackson. She just maybe... I don't know.
She looks like Jack Michelson.
Maybe it's the fact that I hadn't seen her for so long, and then I saw her on obviously a cinema screen.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God. Well, actually, the first thing I thought was hee. That was the first thing. I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm not trying to be nasty. It's just it made me. I genuinely sort of went, wow. Well, okay.
Well, she kicks ass in Miss Congeniality.
I'm going to watch it. I will watch it
because
you're not the only person I know that has said. When I was talking to somebody at work today, and they mentioned Sandra Bullock in Miss Congeniality about detectives. So,
and Shatner is really good, actually. He's got some funny lines.
Good, isn't he? He's always good. Go on then, Neil. You're number 8.
So it's another literary detective, but he has made it onto the small screen thanks to Prime TV, and it's Harry Bosch and Michael Connolly. Books. Have you been watching them?
So that has always flashed up, and I've never taken to it on the telly. So is it good?
Yeah, I mean, the books are a lot better, obviously, but yeah, it is very good, and they've done it close. He's a weathered, long in the tooth detective in Los Angeles. Sees all the nights and seems to always work at night. Yeah, it's very good, Claire. In answer to your question, you solve some very good mysteries, but I would highly recommend reading the books first, and then you get a taste. But the guy, I can't think of his name off the top of my head now, that plays him in the TV series is near enough what I was thinking he was like when I was picturing him as you read. But yeah, it is good. I would highly recommend watching it. Actually, it is good. But read the books first. Read the books. There's a lot of them.
Is it hard hitting, like bad language, that kind of stuff, or is it?
Yeah, well, there is bad language in it, but I'm sure we're all used to that now and grown up, and we can cope. And it is quite hard hitting. I mean, it's not as brutal as a lot of these TV series, like The Boys or Game of Thrones and things like that. But yeah, it has moments in it.
Titus Welliver.
That's him. Yeah.
Great name.
It is, isn't it? But yeah, he just plays it so well because he's got to be that weather detective, you know, long in the tooth, seen it, done it, been there. He does it so well. He really does do it well. So highly recommend all of those books. Loads to choose from.
He had a cameo as an Imperial officer in Mandalorian season 2.
Oh, did he?
He did. Yeah, he did.
There you go.
It only took 33 minutes for the first Star Wars reference. That's quite impressive.
It's only because I actually looked at it on IMDb and thought I'd recognize him, and he was the guy that I, put two and two together and equaled Star Wars as it normally does.
Give it a go, Claire. Have a watch or read it. You know, they are good. They're good. They are good detective stories. You know, you work it out with him as you go along.
Okay, lovely. And Neil's showing how intellectual he is. With two literary. Well, are they all literary ones, Neil? Why don't you have a big sign on your head that says "I read books"? Why don't you just have that, or a T-shirt maybe?
No, I'm trying to get you to read more books, pal. It broadens your mind.
There's no pictures.
That's why
in
I
there,
said I'm the one that's like she's blonde, dumb, and only watches TV. So you know.
No, I can't do books.
Claire, I must ask: Do you read?
Yes,
books?
No, I do. I do, but I will be really honest. So I do have a stack of books. I do read books, but I don't tend to go for like the deep, because I have to read the news every day and I have to talk about the news and horrible stuff. So that's why actually sometimes I do quite like the escapism of just, Julie Cooper or like whatever. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, but that's not to say I can't get into a good thriller, but it has to be brilliant.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get I'm trying to get Pav to read more.
I haven't got the time, Neil. I haven't got the time. If you could just put a book in a chip and insert it in the back of my head, fine. I'd love that. That'd be great. And I go to bed. I've just read War and Peace.
Yeah, but you go to bed and listen to your Carry On movies rather than just
makes me go to sleep.
Before you put the Carry On headphones on.
Yeah,
read a couple of chapters. Put it down, then put your Carry On and go to sleep.
My head would be too full of faff. I can't be doing with it. Anyway,
we'll start you on the famous 5 books. There you are. You want detectives.
My number 8, another part of another duo, but this from the 80s. This one, he's a Lethal Weapon. It's Detective Martin Riggs, Mel Gibson. I think Mel Gibson as an actor is fantastic. I know that there's has a lot of baggage with him, but as an actor and a director, I think he's fantastic. But as Martin Riggs, especially in the first Lethal Weapon, I think the first one is a lot more hard hitting than the subsequent sequels. But the scene where he's in his trailer with a loaded gun and the picture of him and his wife has died, and he loads the gun ready to like blow his brains out. It's just amazing acting. It absolutely is heartbreaking because you've got, I can't remember what's on, some Christmas cartoon, I think, on the television, while tears are streaming down his face. But as a performance, especially like I say, the first Lethal Weapon, there's a massive arc from him being a potential lethal weapon himself that can kill someone probably with his thumbs. But he's just on the edge, and they don't know whether he's doing it because he just wants to be retired and get paid, or whether he just wants to kill himself. I think that's one of my favorite movies of all time, the original Lethal Weapon, and he's a great detective. He's one of those typical hero detectives, maybe a little bit of an anti-hero in the first one, because you don't quite know whether he's crazy or whether he's just trying it on. But then you get the reason that he doesn't care, and he's going to take down as many bad guys as he can. If he gets killed while he's doing it, he doesn't care because he's got nothing left to live for. But that scene gets me every time because it's so powerful. I mean, how they would film that, I don't know. But they just
never seen it.
Have you never seen it?
It's not scary, Claire.
It's not scary. I mean, it's a very 80s movie, but it's that one particular scene just shows you just what kind of an actor Mel Gibson is. And like I say, he's got a lot of baggage that goes with him from his
but who hasn't?
Oh yeah, from his off-screen things. But I think he's got one of the deepest, graveliest voices now, and it's have you ever seen his Father Christmas movie?
No.
It's a movie called Fat Man. It is fantastic. It's where Father Christmas is like a real person that lives up north, but does contracts for the government and things. It is mental.
That's amazing.
It's a crazy movie. It really is. I'd recommend anybody to watch that. It's not your usual, it's not like Elf. It's not your usual Christmas movie, but he is, again, Mel Gibson is. Have you seen it, Neil?
No, I haven't. I must
Have you
see
not?
it.
You got to watch it. It's so much
It's
fun.
Christmas.
Yeah,
Would you class Lethal Weapon as a Christmas movie? Because it's based at Christmas, like Die Hard.
If Die Hard is, Lethal Weapon is, yeah.
There we are.
Yeah, you got. There's your homework, Claire. Lethal Weapon. Number 7, then, please, Claire.
Number 7 is the absolutely fantastic, I think probably will go down as one of my top 10 all-time favourite films, Jim Carrey as Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Perhaps can have something to say about this.
Do you hate it?
No, I'm with you, Claire. I find it funny.
Me and my wife
Ace
left the
Ventura.
cinema after about 45 minutes. We could not hack it.
Don't get me wrong, I think Jim Carrey is obviously very Marmite, but I do think he has done some standout films, and Ace Ventura for me is a cult classic. Saw it when I was younger with my sister. I think we were having a sleepover with maybe some other girls, but just hilarious. I was actually probably too young to maybe even understand some of the jokes when I first saw it, but it's a timeless classic, and it's one of those films I still could probably recite half the script. I'll say one thing to my sister. Every time I'm in the car with my sister and we park up, we will both say, like a glove. And there will just be lines that come out even now, decades after we first saw it. And I do think only Jim Carrey could have played that role.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The sequel, my producer actually at work loves the sequel and almost quotes more from the sequel. I mean, never will you probably see a grown man coming out of the arse of a rhino. But
there's a sentence I never thought I'd hear Claire Carter say.
Yeah, I know, right? But the first one for me, I think it's a cult classic and always will be. Always.
Yeah, I think it's funny, but Pav's not a fan.
It was just, it got to the point where my wife we both looked at each other and went, is he going to be like this all the way through the film?
Oh, yeah, it's Jim Carrey.
I know, and we just thought we can't do it, and we weren't the only ones that left. There were other people that left as well, and it was the whole. I use like a glove, and sometimes I'll go alrighty then and stuff, and I'd hate the film. So it gets you. It does get into the psyche of like normal everyday conversation, but there are some of his movies. Liar Liar, I think, is fantastic. I love that movie. There's a couple of his movies that I think.
The Mask.
I also have a slight fondness, and it grew on me. I had to watch it a couple of times for the Truman Show.
Yeah,
I think that's a great film. But and all of those films could only have been Jim Carrey.
Yeah, but that's the thing, that there's no mugging to the camera with that. And like The Mask, there's a reason. There's a reason that he. Like when he's not the Mask, he's not doing all weird stuff with his face. But when he is the Mask, that's great because there's a reason for it. But with Ace Ventura, he's doing all this stuff and there's no reason for it.
Ace is a pet detective.
Yeah, he's eccentric.
He's got to do all
he's eccentric. Exactly. Come to me, my
Dumb and Dumber was one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Is Dumb and Dumber. I think that's great. I don't know. It was just something about that. But it's your choice, Claire.
And he's actually probably my only first proper detective that I've got on the list so far. So, don't take it away from me.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Go on then, Neil, you're number 7.
So it's Inspector Clouseau.
Yay.
It is Peter Sellers. I watched The Pink Panther recently, which is probably not the best one to watch for him being in it, but I wanted to reintroduce myself to those because I have not seen them for such a long time. and they really do hold up. But he is so funny in that role. And I mean, just going back with all the bits with Kato and everything like that when they're fighting, just pure hilarious and great comedy acting and physical comedy acting as well. And we forget how great Peter Sellers was. I know we speak of troubled people. Well, there you go. There's a prime example of somebody who was troubled in real life. But they're just so funny. And I can't wait to make my kids watch them now.
Less said about the Steve Martin version, the better.
There wasn't a remake.
No, there wasn't.
Because just forget things like that ever happened, don't you?
Yeah.
Which is a real shame. But yeah, Peter Sellers is Inspector Clouseau. Nobody else could do it. Not as well as he did. And I take it you're both fans.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah.
But not to the point where it made my list. So
no. But yeah, proper comedy. That's what I call proper comedy. Physical and setups, it's just fantastic. And I still, every time I see it, is the bit in the Pink Panther where he's in the library with the globe drinks thing, and he puts his hand on it when he spun it. It's just pure comedy genius. It goes down.
They're so brilliantly done. The one where he's got his assistant and he's on like the rocking chair thing, and as he falls back, he grabs the man's tie and it makes the man bang his head on the desk. is some fantastic, it's fantastic
great
comedy.
Physical comedy. Really good.
Wonderful. That's a good one, Neil. My number 7. I don't know. Has any of you seen Murder in Successville? No, this is our friend Neil, Tom Davis.
Yeah.
And
little name drop there. Let me just pick that up the floor.
D.I. Sleet. So I've got him at number 7. Now, Murder in Successville I didn't even realize that it was a show until my wife said, have you seen this Murder in Successville? The idea of the show is it's a scripted show, but they have a celebrity guest that comes in, doesn't know anything about the case, and they have to then go along with the script and try and work out who the killer is. And it's a comedy. Tom Davis plays D.I. Sleet, and it's in this celebrity town. So they have people that are doing impersonations, like the chief inspector is a guy doing an impersonation of Gordon Ramsay. And they will go and check out Daniel Radcliffe will be a suspect, and Lily Allen will be a subject, and they'll have actors playing them, and it's all of their parts have all been scripted. But then this particular, like, it'll be Chris Kamara might go in there, or it'll be one of the guys from Made in Chelsea, and it is hilarious. Some of the stuff that comes out, and it is hilarious enough that even like Tom Davis will break, and you can tell that like he is trying to get the people to break. There'll be certain scenes. It is really good. They've just done a remake in America called Murderville, I think it's called, with Will Arnett playing the Tom Davis part.
Okay.
Not quite as good. It just looked a little bit more forced than the Tom
What was
Davis.
it called?
Murder in Successville, it's called. I think there were 3 seasons of it, and it's either on iPlayer or it's on Netflix. I can't remember which one it's on. But I would thoroughly recommend it if you. So
you say celebrities, and then you banned out the Made in Chelsea. Surely it's better celebrities than.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you've got one of the dragons from Dragon's Den.
Well, that's better than Made in Chelsea.
Just well-known people.
Yeah, people that aren't just people off the street, but they're not. Whereas, the American one has got like Kumail Nanjiani, Sharon Stone. Will Arnett knows obviously big people, so he's managed to get big people to come in and be the guests and stuff. So it's like I say, I find it like hilarious. I thought, oh my God, why have I not seen this before? It is like a real gumshoe kind of thing with like Tom Davis doing a voiceover, talking about the case, and all the people that are doing the impersonations are really good. The guy doing the Gordon Ramsay, you close your eyes and it sounds just like Gordon Ramsay. It's a proper impersonation, but I thoroughly recommend it. Right then, Claire, your number 6, please.
I'm going to go with family favourite, Vera.
Oh,
Vera.
Vera, yes.
Vera for me is one of those shows. I mean, firstly, I think Brenda Blessing is amazing, and I just love her style as well, driving around in her little Defender. But Vera, I remember the first time I watched Vera, and actually when I say it wasn't, because I mean, I think this series has been going a really long time on the telly, but I was in Ireland with my sister on holiday in 2018. Gosh, 19. It's around then anyway. And it was one of those, TV in the hotel that you think, I should have bought my Fire Stick, totally forgot it. What channels are we dealing with? What kind of freebie or whatever? And I remember we'd been out having a meal, we'd had a few drinks, and we got in. We just think, I wish a good movie would come on one of the terrestrial channels. No movies on, but there was this episode of Vera. And I said to my sister, we've missed about the first 10 minutes. I don't know what this is. I've never seen it before. Oh my God, we were hooked from like the word go. And it was lovely that we didn't know what series it was, how long it had been going on. We didn't know the backstory of any of the characters, but we just instantly fell in love with it. And I don't know, it was kind of the warm detective for me. And I just think you stop anybody on the street and probably, 50% of them, if not more, you say Vera, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I love Vera. It's a good shout to the north, and yeah, I love it. I think it's really nice.
Unless it's that bloke from the rugby, he'll look you up and down and go, you like Vera?
You like Vera? Oh, what an arse.
Yeah.
So Vera does it for me.
Yeah, see, my wife, things like Bones, Vera, any of these crime things, she laps them up, and I'll come in and, which one are you watching now? This is Vera. I think, and then aren't they a little bit interchangeable? I can't be doing with any of them, because it just seems to me it's just like, it's like reading books. It's just a waste of time, because they're all just the
I think maybe I should do a podcast with your wife.
Yeah.
She'd have been perfect for this one. She would have had a top 20 with her detective shows.
So you never got like hooked up in the TV events of like Line of Duty and things like that?
No. None of those things.
You haven't seen Line of Duty?
No, any of those. That's with our friend Craig Parkinson.
Yeah. Even more reason to watch it.
Yeah, no, any of those. Those are the things my wife laps up. She loves all of those. SWAT, all of the American ones, all the British ones. She loves
SWAT.
them.
That's old David. What's his chops again? I think.
Is that
Caruso?
SWAT?
Yeah, the one from Bones.
No.
Oh, David
Boreanaz. That's
Boreanaz. That's Seal.
That's it. Yeah, she watches that one as well. Yeah, she should be here doing this one. I'm not good at doing this one.
I remember.
But no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I mean, I know what you mean. It's a bit of a It's like what was the Men in the Bath? Last of the Summer Wine kind of
Men
thing.
in the Bath.
Well, they were,
they always go down a hill. But
there's always a man in a bath. There always was.
You can't like a Vera to Last of the Summer Wine.
Well, it is. She's sort of like cute and cuddly, and
but she's not a Nora Batty, surely.
Well, no, she's not going to be
Vera. You can't get anything past Vera.
You could if you run. I mean, to be fair,
That's mean.
No, but she's in her late 50s, 60s.
That's why she's always driving around in a little Land Rover Defender.
All right, okay, all right then.
They're obviously very successful, these programs.
Oh no,
I haven't seen
but
Vera,
that's the thing. I think it's the same as when we talk about all these big like musical bands that I'm not in. I'm the minority here. They wouldn't keep making all these shows if they weren't successful. So they're not worried about the fact that I don't like them. It's all the millions that do. So I know my place.
And another shout out to a woman, can I just say?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I was just looking up and down my top 10 and oh dear, thank God you're here. That's all I'm going to say. Go on then, Neil, you're number 6.
So it's good old Idris Elba, Luther. I was late to this one. I was late getting to the party on this one. Yeah, everybody told me how good it was. And then I thought, okay, let's do it. Let's binge it. And boy, did I binge. I think I watched them all in about 2 nights. So, yeah, great stories. Ruth Wilson in it is fantastic, isn't she, as well?
Ruth Wilson's amazing in general, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a great actress, isn't she? And I just really like Idris Elba as this character. He's gruff. He really doesn't give a shit, does he? He just doesn't care. And off he goes. And yeah, I think it's BBC at their finest with their writing and their drama.
I've never seen it.
You never seen it? No, that's fair enough.
Claire, now you've got homework.
That's fair enough.
Well, but again, with the whole jumping, and remember, so I live on my own, and a lot of these shows are too late for me because I go to bed at stupid o'clock because I get up at stupid o'clock. So there's probably cause for me. Yes, I should be able to catch up during the day. But wasn't there in the first series some really scary scene on a bus?
Yeah.
or somebody coming up from under a bed, or
yeah.
And again, stuff like that scares the living
It's creepy,
daylights
but I
out of
wouldn't
me.
say it was all out scary, that one. For
Is it
some
jumpy?
reason.
It's a bit
Not that I
jumpy.
recall.
There's a couple of bits that were a bit unsettling, I must admit.
Yeah,
someone going in the
unsettling
back of a
is all.
taxi and stuff like that was a bit unsettling.
But I mean, and also it's Idris.
Yeah.
Like, what a gent.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is that I think the last series, it sort of felt like it was like running out of ideas a little bit.
Yeah, they did do that, and it's not like loads of episodes. I think the first series is only like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
It's a bit like
and
Sherlock,
they're making a movie.
where
They've done a movie now, haven't they?
they filmed it.
Yeah. That's
So I'll
what
be
that
intrigued.
is it that one?
We think we know how he did it.
Oh,
No, not that one. No, not that one.
It's Basil Brush, I said. Bone.
That was
There you
Luther.
go.
Yeah.
But he's so watchable, and to me, you feel safe when Luther's there. I don't know why.
Yeah.
bit like how I feel with Vera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no matter what's happening, when Luther turns up, yeah, we're all right. now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's
okay.
just on the right side of the law, and he
Just,
he just quivers over the edge. Is that the right way of putting it?
Yeah. So you do watch TV detectives, Pav? You watch
Yeah,
Luther?
I'm not saying I don't watch them. I just don't watch all of them, is what I'm saying. Okay. that was a silence, that was, wasn't it? Okay, my number 6 is the detective extraordinaire from Knives Out, Benoit Blanc.
Oh,
Yeah,
great
movie.
I watched the movie again about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It is such a well-written movie.
Yeah,
And it is one of those movies that you try and sort of think, I'm going to work out how this is done, and there's just clever little twists all the way in there, and it shows you that Rian Johnson can write a good movie. You know, he is good at writing movies. Last Jedi. Benoit Blanc is Daniel Craig. What is it? Is it like a New Orleans accent that he has? I think, isn't it? It's
Supposedly,
yeah.
But he's fantastic. He's fantastic in it. The way he works out how it's done, why it's been done, who did it. I think it's a great movie.
And of course, the sequel's out soon.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be fab.
Supposed to be 2 or 3, isn't there? I think it's in a Netflix
Netflix have bought it.
deal that he's done. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that's again, if you haven't watched Knives Out, go and get it. It's a breath of fresh air movie.
But it's also got elements of like the old school Agatha Christie style. It's really got its heart set in those.
Well, that's what it reminded me of, because it's got a star-studded cast, and they've all got their own secrets, and it's just a very, very clever movie. Really, really.
I love Jamie Lee Curtis in it. I think she's brilliant.
Oh my God, I just don't see Jamie Lee Curtis enough. True Lies, again, one of my favourite films. And where is Jamie Lee Curtis? I just need her in more things. I love her.
I mean, it's not a movie that you're going to watch, but the trailer for, as we're recording this, Halloween
Ends,
was released today.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where she is. She's trying to
She's still battling Michael Myers.
Yeah. Okay, that was my number 6. Claire, your number 5, please.
My number 5. I need to make sure that that's right. So my number 5 takes me back to my youth. Inspector Gadget. So I mean, I've got such fond memories of watching the cartoon of Inspector Gadget with, what was his name, Dr. Claw. I'll get you next time, Gadget. And that's how it always used to work. Next time. And obviously you had Penny and Brain, and I've just got such fond memories. My brother and my sister and I, we grew up watching that on TV, and it was one of my favourite cartoons. Made me laugh. And do you know what? It's horrendously rubbish, but even the film, the old What's His Chops, was it Matthew Broderick?
Yeah.
Broderick. It entertained me. But I just think the whole concept for children, as a cartoon, I thought was great and actually very, very clever. And I was really, I think, and again, I don't mean to bang like a feminist drum, but I was really impressionable as a child. I think it's why I love Terry Hatcher so much, because of the importance of Lois and Clark as a Superman double, growing up with it, watching them almost on par. You know, to see a young girl and a dog helping this man solve all of these mysteries or whatever and fight crime, I just loved that. And it was really simple and easy. And yeah, I thought it was a great concept, and we'll always love it. I can rap you Five's song that they did for the film any day of the week. Go, Mr. Gadget, go. That's the man. Spread it out to it. Don't sound the same. It's the GAD with the GET. Gadget on. I could do a whole song. I'm not going
Fantastic.
to. I could do. So yeah, I love Inspector Gadget. I don't know if it counts, but I hope it does.
No, of course it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it
no,
does.
he is a detective without a doubt. It was Don Adams that did the voice for Gadget, who was in a TV show. I can't remember what it was. Get Smart. He was in the Get Smart.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
50s and 60s. Yeah. It's definitely a cartoon that I remember watching. Was it originally a French cartoon or something? Maybe.
I think it's something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, great cartoon.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen the film. That was the only thing I'd say. I don't think I've ever seen it.
If you are really, really poorly and it comes on the telly and you don't have the will, the desire, or the energy to change the channel, it won't kill you.
Oh, wow, that should be on the poster. That's
yeah, Claire Carter.
This movie won't kill you, Claire Carter. Wonderful. Okay, then Neil, you're number 5.
So this is old school. Clint Eastwood, Harry Callahan, Dirty Harry himself. What can we say about it? I mean, he is probably one of the most, I'm going to use the I word, iconic detectives out there, especially in the movie world. I mean, we heard a soundbite from him in the facts that I did. Have you seen any of the Dirty Harry movies, Claire? No.
I'm like your worst guest, aren't I?
No, not at all.
No,
it's
just
nice
like what you
we're introducing you, hopefully, to new stuff. I'm a big fan of the first few movies. I do think they got poorer as they went on and the older they get. I'm not a fan really of the Deadpool, which is the last one. Speaking of Jim Carrey, he's in that. But the original one was based on the what was he called? The Zodiac Killer. So if you watch the movie Zodiac, where they're trying to work out with Robert Downey Jr. and everybody, where they're trying to work out who it was doing it, it references Dirty Harry, that they were making a film of it, obviously a fictionalized version of what was going on. But another detective that you feel safe with when he comes into the room. So, you know, if there's a hold up or whatever was going on when he utters the robbery, when he does his own style of justice with his big magnum, you know, you're asking yourself, did I shoot? You're with him all the way.
I don't know how I feel about Clint Eastwood.
Really?
Really? Why?
I know that's probably a really, I don't know, I find it a bit awkward to watch.
Do you? Okay.
I don't know what I think. Maybe it's something I need to see a lot more of his earlier stuff, and I need to maybe spend a bit more time on it. But which I just remember seeing him and just thinking, it's a bit awkward.
I mean,
maybe it's dated.
Is this old in Clint Eastwood you're talking about?
Well, no, like I say, I've seen more recent stuff like what is it, $1 Million Baby or whatever, but I just, I don't know. So I think maybe things like Dirty Harry I probably need to educate myself on.
Yeah,
it's not that I don't appreciate him or understand his greatness, but to actually choose to watch, I don't know.
But then I think being like my dad was a huge fan of the Westerns, so I was brought up probably before I should have been watching them, you know, like Fistful of Dollars and all that. So he was a part and parcel of my childhood. And then being allowed when I was about 12, probably far too young, to watch Dirty Harry was a real honor. And then it became hooked. I even went to the cinema to watch the Deadpool and then coming out feeling really depressed that it wasn't very good. But, you know, the earlier stuff I think was brilliant. But I will say, when I watched Dirty Harry, which not so long ago, in literally the beginning of the year's lockdown, I watched it again. It hasn't aged well.
It was a different time for that, for those kind of movies, wasn't it?
And also Frank Sinatra was originally going to be Dirty Harry, and trying to put him in the role of Clint Eastwood.
Wow.
Yeah, he was going to be the original Dirty Harry.
Well, he was going to be the original John McClane from Die Hard.
Yeah, he was.
So, I mean, he would have been a busy boy, wouldn't he?
Yeah, you imagine him swinging out there, tied up on a rope through a window,
singing "Fly Me to the Moon."
Yeah, I did it my way.
Okay, my number 5 is the cool part of another duo from the 80s. It's Sonny Crockett from Miami Vice.
Oh, We all like the clothes
No.
and the espadrilles.
We all dressed like that in the 80s. We all had pastel colours on, no socks, espadrilles, tried to grow facial hair, which I can do now, couldn't quite do back then, but you always thought you were trying to be cool. And he had a cool crocodile called Elvis, I think was
Alligator.
Was it alligator? What's the difference?
Well, the shape of their noses. See you later, alligator. In a while, crocodile. Whatever, I don't know.
You read that from a book, didn't you, Neil?
A song.
Oh, was that okay? But again, a Testarossa. He drove a Testarossa. Which I always wanted a Testarossa until I realised how much money they were and thought they're going to look stupid driving around Cirencester in a Testarossa. It's just not going to look good. Plus, like humps and bumps and that is just not going to be any good for a car that low. But
and
he
plus
was
getting a job. He must have been paid a hell of a lot of money for what he had because he lived on a yacht, didn't he?
He lived on a yacht, had an alligator, had a Testarossa.
Sounds amazing.
It does. Have you never seen Miami Vice? Have you never seen Miami Vice?
See,
I've not seen it for years, so I don't know whether it holds up.
It's very 80s, but it's good.
Very 80s. Michael Mann, who did Heat and other films.
But again, some great celebrity cameos. Phil Collins was in one of the episodes. He acted in one of them, and
Bruce Willis was in one of them.
He was.
Yeah. And the weird thing is like I always wanted to be Sonny Crockett, and then his partner is called Tubbs, and I ended up more like him than I did Sonny Crockett.
Okay.
But fantastic music. Jan Hammer did the theme, and then did Crockett's theme.
Yeah, beautiful.
What a fantastic theme! And then he did, I think it's called something like Tubbs and Valerie or something, like a love sort of tune. They're all instrumentals. Fantastic. Crockett's theme is a fantastic piece of music. I love that. So that's my number 5. Claire, your number 4, please.
My number 4 actually goes. Excuse me. Goes against everything that I've said up till now, because whereas I say I won't watch Luther because I feel I'm going to be too scared, there was one show which hooked me straight in and it terrified the living daylights out of me, but I thought it was so well acted. So my number 4 is Stella Gibson, played by the fabulous Gillian Anderson in the BBC show The Fall.
Oh, that was so good.
Which was so good. And I think for me that, because I loved The X-Files and I rewatched The X-Files years after it was on. So you know how great Gillian Anderson is, but I sort of feel like The Fall kind of put her back, and for a lot of people, for the first time, brought her to the forefront of people's minds. And I think her and what's his chops, Jamie Dornan, they just stole it. And even though he was a terrifying character, you couldn't take your eyes off the show. And I think Gillian Anderson was absolutely superb through that whole show. She was amazing. And just reaffirmed my love for her as an actress. And of course, look at her now and everything that she's doing and winning. And it was a great show. And even though it was terrifying and scared the life out of me, and I didn't want to walk to the car by myself the next morning for work, you then still went back the next week afterwards. And there was this horrible part of you that were like, oh, so are they going to get it on? And you're like, she's the police officer and he's like the murderer. Like, this can't happen. But it was incredible to watch. So
have you ever seen it, Pav?
No.
No, that one you really should watch.
Or somebody on a podcast I was listening to just today was talking about it and said how great it was.
Yeah, it really is.
So I'm taking it that's not a spoiler to know that Jamie Dornan is the murderer.
Not at all.
Right.
It's literally from the word go, I think,
is it? Okay. Maybe I'll give it a go.
It proves what a good actor he really is.
Yeah.
He's not just that 50 Cent man. 50 Shades. 50 Shades.
What a performance that would be.
Yeah, he's such a good. Oh yeah, I watched that in the first lockdown. Everybody kept saying you must watch it, and I did, and I binged it.
But again, kind of, it must have aged all right then, because I mean, I was still living in Cheltenham when I watched that when it first came out on telly, so it's quite old now.
Yeah, but so good.
So there you go.
Okay, all right, we'll give that one a try. Neil, your number 4, please.
So another originally a literary character who's made it onto Amazon. They're the ones that seem to pick it up is Reacher, Jack Reacher.
Oh,
Right. Is he a detective?
Well, he was an army. He's a detective in his own right, though, isn't he?
Come on, I put in Gracie Lou Freebush for heaven's sake. Like,
I mean, look,
every book he's solving a mystery, and he works out, and he works with the police. He's an ex-military police. He's a loner. He travels with just a toothbrush, money, and his passport.
Did Tom Cruise do that one?
Yes,
but the series is the other dude, bulky dude.
How he is in the books. In the books, he's 6'6",
that's
tall,
what I hear.
wide, and knows how to fight. It's basically, it becomes a bit of a boy's own. They've overwritten the books. I've stopped reading them now because, listening to the author Lee Childs, when he said he was going to kill him on the 10th book, but the money was too much, so he had to carry on. I think it's one of these people that it needed to phase out. They've all become a bit samey now as the books go on. But watch the TV series. I thought it was fantastic. It was very close to the book. Have you seen the TV series?
TV series is fantastic.
It's on my watch list on
Prime. It's very good.
Because when I can remember when Tom Cruise was cast as Reacher, the furore online. Why is a guy who's 5'6" playing a guy who's supposed to be 6'6" and like a brick outhouse?
Yeah.
Why is Tom Cruise is good, but I don't think he was what Reacher should be.
He wasn't right. No, he was a presence.
I get confused with Jack Reacher and the one that John Krasinski or whatever is doing on Prime as well.
Oh, that's the Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan.
It's the two Jacks. Yeah. That's right.
Jack Reacher is the big dude who just goes around on a bus, rocks up at a town. Trouble usually finds him, and then he usually sorts it out. But see,
that's a guy that as soon as he comes on the screen, on the TV version, that you feel safe as soon as he comes on the screen. Yeah. Because you want him as a friend, not as an enemy. And that is the thing. I mean, Alan Ritchson is his name. He is a beast.
Yeah,
he is an absolute beast, and he plays a beast in the TV show.
And he's very close to what the books are. I mean, so the next book is called Die Trying, which is to me is probably one of the better ones. And I've just read somewhere that they are doing that as the next series.
Right.
So basically, I'm not going to spoil it, but
no.
At all. But it's basically about a kidnap. So he lets himself get kidnapped with this person, and obviously to save this woman. So he just lets himself be kidnapped.
My only worry is that each series is going to be him going to a small little town. There's a problem. He solves it. A bit like Kane from Kung Fu, and then he goes on to the next. Sorry,
Bones did it for 10 seasons.
That is true.
So
that is true.
Talk to your wife about that.
Yeah,
and like I said, Die Trying isn't the one. It's not. It's really not about going to a small town. It's a different premise. Like I said, he lets himself get kidnapped, and the rest is the story. That's only the opening pages. So we're in for a treat. If they do it as well as they did the first series, we're in for a real treat.
Okay. That's fair enough.
But there's some more books to read.
I'll wait till the series comes out. It's a lot better. A lot easier to follow. My number 4, he's got a great car. He's got a great pair of tight shorts. He's got a great moustache. Thomas Magnum. He's got a great theme tune. PI, indeed.
Yeah.
Private investigator. Yeah. PI. Yeah. I don't like the remake that they did. It didn't have any of the warmth or the humor.
What was the remake? Did they do a remake?
Yeah, they did a remake that was on Sky. I think it got cancelled after 2 or 3 seasons, I think.
Right.
But see, I like Tom Selleck anyway. I think he's a great actor. I think he just has that charisma, face and the charisma. He's a bit like he was like the next version of Burt Reynolds, if you like. He was that kind of guy that sort of had everything. He was like 6 foot tall, looked good, had a great moustache, great head of hair, and then it was one of the. I mean, it was that show that stopped him from being Indiana Jones. He would have been Indiana Jones if it hadn't have been for Magnum. He would signed up.
No.
Yeah, there's actually, if you go on YouTube, there's actually
that's a great fact.
There's footage of him having, I think it was with Sean Young, wasn't it? Doing a
it was. Sean Young.
Tom Selleck is Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he was all signed to do it,
and he couldn't get out of his contract to do the next series of Magnum, so he wasn't allowed to do it.
I need to sit down and have a moment with that.
Yeah, so that's who it would have been, and then Harrison
Indy would have had a moustache.
They just thought, we'll ask Harrison if he fancies giving it a go, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Wow.
There you go. You learned something new tonight.
That's
haven't you,
blown
Claire?
my mind. That's one of those facts that if you do think about it, it could have just changed the course of the entire world.
Yeah, everything. Sliding doors.
Everything.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It
Nice.
does make you wonder if he lies in bed twiddling his moustache going...
I mean, he did all right in the end. Didn't he?
I mean,
I'm
he did.
sure he's
I mean,
all right.
He's been doing Blue Bloods for like 13 years.
140 years.
Yeah. So, you know, and he probably would never have been in Friends. He would never would have been Monica's...
Was he in Friends? Which one was he then?
Oh, come on, he's Richard.
Yeah, he was
Monica's boyfriend.
I didn't know he was in Friends. I've never seen
he's
Friends.
great.
Claire, sorry.
This is like a confessions episode.
It is, isn't it? Just people are watching this going, why are these three talking to each other? They've got nothing in common.
But people that know me know that Friends isn't really my sort of thing.
No, he was Monica's.
You should read the books first.
Yeah, I will. They're written by Jane Austen, aren't they?
Yeah, no, they are. Yeah.
Of all 600 episodes, you should read the books, Neil.
I probably would read them.
Oh my lord. So yeah, that's my number 4. Go on,
You
Claire.
like sorry, Pav. You like the detective that's got expensive taste because didn't he have a Ferrari as well?
He did.
Yeah, you're all about the flashy cars and the look.
Lived in Malibu.
Hawaii. Lived in, I think.
Was it Hawaii?
I think so. Hawaii. Yeah.
And he had the posh house with a butler.
Although I think he wasn't he like house sitting? Wasn't he like the security for?
It was a long old house sit then, wasn't it? Yeah. How many series did he go through?
Well, no, like it was. What was the guy's name? Like his boss, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was more his butler, wasn't it?
No, that wasn't his butler. Magnum.
Sorry, I'm joking.
It was John Hillerman, and it was Higgins.
Higgins, that's right.
Higgins.
With the Dobermans.
That's right.
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Posh taste.
Indeed. Go on then, Claire, you're number 3.
My number 3, the great, the classic, the all-timer, Hercule Poirot.
Okay. Which version?
Well, so do you know what? I've had listeners phone in and complain about Kenneth Branagh. And they had, it made the papers when he took on the films, which, by the way, I think fantastic. I thought Death on the Nile was really good. I thought Murder on the Orient Express was good. So I've always been a fan of those kind of films, and I've loved it when you have like the Christmas specials. I don't know why I keep doing that. You have like the Christmas specials, and let's be honest, it's Agatha Christie. They are great stories, and I think Poirot is a fantastic, mysterious character in his own right. And I personally do really like Kenneth as Poirot. I don't have a problem. David Suchet. I mean, you know, the fact that you can have the films, the TV show, you can have so many reincarnations of this character. But, however, the stories need that because these stories will be told forever. So you actually, I think, whereas we've talked about certain shows that the remakes didn't work or the reboots didn't work or they tried to remake it, you've got to keep finding Poirot because these stories will never die. They are that good. The murder mystery is that good. And I think the character that Agatha Christie created, and you certainly with Death on the Nile, when you find out more about his backstory and his time in the army and what he did with Capitan, and you know, all of that just creates, you know, the kind of the air around him that he has. And again, he shows up, you want him to show up, and you know, well, actually you don't know everything's going to be fine because then there were none, but yeah, Poirot, it's timeless. You may get different generations that hate on a dude's moustache or the way he portrays it, but you're going to continue to have that debate because you can never not have Poirot.
I wonder, is like Agatha Christie stuff a bit like Sherlock Holmes in the fact that anybody can remake it at any time? Are the rights just
pretty much?
Well, yeah, because I think they're that. How old are they? They're quite old now.
They've got to be really old because I think it's like Sherlock Holmes. We could make a Sherlock Holmes movie if we wanted to.
Yeah, and of course, you know, there was the whole history around Agatha Christie, wasn't there? Because she disappeared, and so I just, all that stuff I love, and I think BBC. I think they do the Christmas specials really well, and I think the recent films I've been a big fan of.
Yeah,
it was David Suchet, wasn't it?
David Suchet, yeah.
And then Peter
the
Ustinov.
TV series, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of love for Suchet. A lot of love for Suchet.
Yeah. Lovely. Okay, then Neil, you're number 3.
So he's probably another one of the most famous detectives, Sherlock Holmes.
So which version are you having?
Well, to be honest, any, because they're all pretty much the same, aren't they? I mean, they're all different incarnations. I like Cumberbatch. I'm a Jeremy Brett fan. I met Jeremy Brett before he passed away.
That's a good job.
And what a lovely guy. And I listened to him do a eulogy at a funeral, and it was beautiful. But I think Jeremy Brett was the closest to the literary version. But Sherlock Holmes is very much like Poirot, where when you watch or read them, you've got this feeling that they already know who it is and what's going on, and and they're piecing it together for you. I don't know whether you find that, but it's just clever stuff. Yeah. And I do like Cumberbatch's Holmes. I didn't like the last series much.
I honestly really didn't mind Downey Jr. I know there was a whole hoo-ha because he was
that was good actually.
But I think Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor, and again enjoyed those films.
But I've been a fan since the Basil Rathbone days when I used to watch them as a kid. They used to be on, didn't they? Saturday mornings, you'd be able to watch the old black and white Basil Rathbone, Hound of the Baskervilles and all that, which I always thought was going to be more scarier than it actually is, because you're thinking this big wolf running around the moors. But yeah, I love the stories. And again, have you ever read any of the books, Claire?
Never read the books. I think
worth reading.
It's awful because in that respect, I'm a bit like Pav, because I'm like, if I know the films there or the TV shows there, I'm just going to watch it.
I was going to say, why didn't you say Claire and Pav? Why haven't you read the books?
Because we've already established you don't read.
I was going to say, we know you haven't.
Yeah.
I mean,
but they are good.
I'm hurt by that. Okay. We'll go with that then. Okay, my number 3 is David Addison. Have you heard that name before?
I have.
Yes, it's from an 80s TV show called Moonlighting. It was Bruce Willis, Sybil Shepherd.
Moonlighting?
Have you never heard of Moonlighting?
Claire, this will be right up your street.
Basically, I think Pav's gone for all of the ones that date when I was born.
I know. It was the thing to watch on a Thursday night on BBC Two, I think it was.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. And it was the breakout thing that made Bruce Willis a star. And
I've never seen it.
He is smooth talking, quick witted. I wanted to be Bruce Willis in the 80s when I was like whatever, when I was 20 or whatever. That makes me hang on. Moonlighting. What year was Moonlighting? Mid 80s, wouldn't it? Mid to late 80s.
This was that was the final episode. 85, yeah.
85. Okay, so I was 16. So I was very impressionable. I was 16 at the time. I wanted to be David Addison. I wanted to be Bruce Willis because at the time I was
good in a dinner jacket, didn't he?
He was fantastic, and it got to I think series 2 or series 3, and he cut his hair so he had his hair spiky. I wanted my hair like that because I think I've said before, he was going bald the cool way. So he was going bald here, but had it all spiky at the top, and he was just so cool. And he used to do this little sort of smirk, like with his mouth. You have to look on the YouTube for that. And I used to do that. I used to try and be like him, and I do this little thing with my mouth, trying to be like Bruce Willis. He was so cool. The show was that thing of will they, won't they? The chemistry between Maddie.
I love a will they, won't they?
The Maddie Hayes and David Addison. They started having, like most series do now, they had a musical episode. They had an episode where they retold The Taming of the Shrew. It was crazy. Mr. Pesto was like the secretary that was. It was just a fantastic show. I don't know whether you can still see it anywhere. I'm
sure you can. I was going to say, have you seen it recently?
I haven't seen it recently. No. I saw some clips because I was looking for a clip that I could play. And it still looked like it was loads of fun. It looks very 80s, but I would recommend it if you're a Bruce Willis fan, or if you're just a fan of that will they, won't they, this comedy detective. It's a fantastic show.
And Sybil Shepherd's great in it.
She was fantastic.
As well. It's fantastic. Beautiful.
Yeah. And I won't tell you whether they will or won't they, but
it was the must-watch TV of its day.
It was a great theme tune by Al Jarreau as well. Okay. Claire, you're number 2, please.
This is really difficult. My 1 and 2, I just didn't know which way around to put them. And in the end, you'll know why I put my number 1 where I have. So at number 2, I've gone with Jonathan Creek.
Oh, okay.
So again, probably a bit similar to one of Neil's earlier on. Okay, not perhaps technically a detective, but was there and solved the murders. And Jonathan Creek, I just think it's one of the best series the BBC ever had. And for me, it was Saturday night telly, mum and my sister growing up. I thought Alan Davis was spot on. I think he was perfect. And although they tried to sort of bring it back and they did another few, and Alan Davis and Caroline Quinton were a great duo. And they worked well. They bounced off each other really well. Caroline Quinton, actually, she lives near me. And I know that she goes, so we actually go to the same wine shop, which my friend owns. And
if you
my friend,
tell her I love her, please. I love her.
I won't be able to get words out. And I keep saying to my friend who owns this wine shop that she goes into, I'm like, you've got to call me. You just said, I purposely don't tell you when she's here because I don't want you running down. So I think if I met her, I'd go absolutely ballistic. But yeah, Jonathan Creek, for me, it was the added joy of magic that was thrown into that show. I think to add him being a magician into solving murders was a genius stroke. I think there was comedy in there because of what Carolyn provided, and it was great Saturday night telly. And actually, some of them, they got, I don't want to say scary, but they could get quite dark. And I love it. There's a huge element of nostalgia in there, and I think actually I'll probably still enjoy them today, even though they probably are a bit dated now.
Yeah,
they're still available to watch, aren't they?
Yeah,
they
are
still available to watch.
And that black scream before it started, do, 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 or however it went, that violin that started at the beginning of the theme tune.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. How did it go? Do 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 do.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Did somebody take over from Caroline Quinton though in it?
Yeah, and I've forgotten her. I have a feeling it was
Julia Sawalha.
Julia Sawalha.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't don't tell me this. Am I right? It wasn't What's Her Chops as well? The one that's in everything. Oh yeah, it was. So Emma Kennedy was in it at one stage. Sheridan Smith never did it, did she?
I remember.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
yes, she did.
She absolutely did. Of course, she did. Which, I mean, that that wasn't my favourite. Carolyn and Johnny and Alan Davis, great pairing. Loved them.
Oh yeah, Caroline Quinton's my my crush.
If I do ever bump into her on the Great Western Canal near me, I'll record a little message to you.
Oh my God, I don't know what I would do. Honestly, don't know what I would do. Oh my lordy, it's too hot as it is. Okay, Neil, your number 2, please.
So it's good old Leslie Nielsen as Frank Drebin.
That's my number 2.
Is it really?
It is.
Probably Naked Gun, Police Squad TV series. Have you seen those, Claire? The TV series,
absolutely
just so
amazing.
Funny. I actually think I prefer the TV series to the movies.
Oh, I don't know, 33 1/3. I do love.
Is that the one with Anna Nicole Smith in, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But just everything. He plays that so well, doesn't he, Leslie Nielsen?
He's just fantastic. I don't care, even if he made some of the crappier movies that he made, he is the best thing in them. He's just an absolute genius. He never started off as a comedian either, did he? That's the
no, he was a very serious Shakespearean actor.
Very serious, but I love that man. I really do.
He kept the straightest face. Yeah. But what a character, and what some movies and TV series. Like I said, if people have never seen the Police Squad TV series, you must watch them, especially for just the end credits. Always made me laugh so much.
Well, it was the start as well, wasn't it? It said, with special guest Ernest Borgnine. And then all of a sudden, like the car door would open and then a dead body would roll out and it'd be Ernest Borgnine. And that'd be it. And then the car would speed off and then it'd carry on with the show. So good.
So good. So funny. And the man that could keep the straightest face in anything. Just absolute legend. I've been rewatching some of the interviews with Leslie Nielsen that he did. And he's so funny in those.
With his little fart machine in his hand.
Yeah. He started to, if there's one that he did with Wogan, and Wogan's getting pretty irritated by it in the end, which makes it even funnier.
Exactly. Because he doesn't care, does he?
No.
What a man. What a man. Yeah. He was very close to being my number one.
And mine.
But no, I had him as my number two instead. So completely agree with you there, Neil. Okay. Before we really reveal our number ones, Claire, do you want to give us your rundown from 10 to number 2, please?
I can, if I can remember them all, because am I allowed to say that whilst we've been doing this, I've changed my order as we've gone?
You haven't.
So, yeah, I have, because I was like, I don't. So number 10 from Bones, Seeley Booth. Number 9, Horatio Kane, CSI Miami. 8, was that Gracie Hart?
That was.
From Miss Congeniality.
Yep.
Then at 6, Ace Ventura. 7, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Yep.
At 6, I went with Vera.
You did.
And then at 5, I went with Inspector Gadget.
Yes, you did. You're doing it like this is a quiz.
This is memory recall for you.
God, it is, isn't it? At 4, I went with the great Gillian Anderson, Stella Gibson. Then at number 3, Cute Poirot. At number 2, Jonathan Creek.
Wonderful. Neil, your 10 to 2?
So at 10, I had Somerset from 7, Morgan Freeman's character. Number 9, Charlie Parker from the John Connolly books. Number 8, Harry Bosch from the TV series and books. Number 7, Inspector Clouseau. Number 6, Luther. Number 5, Harry Callahan from Dirty Harry. Number 4, Jack Reacher. Number 3, Sherlock Holmes. Number 2, Frank Drebin.
Wonderful. And mine is number 10, Eddie Shoestring. 9, David Starsky. 8, Martin Riggs. 7, D.I. Sleet from Murder in Successville. 6, Benoit Blanc from oh Christ, what was it called? Knives Out. 5, Sonny Crockett from Miami Vice. 4, Thomas Magnum, PI. 3, David Addison from Moonlighting. And number 2, Lieutenant Frank Drebin. So Claire,
my God, they all say so much about us, don't they?
Don't they? Don't they indeed? So Claire, then what's your number 1 fictional detective?
My number 1 fictional detective is Agatha Raisin.
Oh.
Now, for people going, what? Agatha Raisin is a detective made famous from the books, you will be pleased to hear, Neil, written by one MC Beaton. I don't know if that rings any bells to anybody. So MC Beaton was a crime writer who lived in Gloucestershire. And she actually started her career when she was younger, working for newspapers off Fleet Street. She was Scottish originally, but moved to London, wanted to get into the world of journalism. So started writing for papers and ended up basically investigating or writing murder stories that were happening in London decades ago. And I interviewed MC Beaton a couple of times at Radio Gloucestershire. She came into the studio. She was the most amazing woman. And she would talk about how she would write up these murders for the papers, the next day. And she thinks some of these actually, bodies being pulled out of the River Thames. And she thought to herself, these would make really good stories. And so she started writing a few of them down and became MC Beaton, the fictional writer. So she later on moved with her husband to Tetbury, where she spent the rest of her life. She died, it was a few years ago. I think it was within sort of the last maybe 5-6 years. But one of her most famous characters is Agatha Raisin, which is being adapted onto TV. I think it's still being shown on Sky, played by the fabulous Ashley Jensen, who I love. And the thing which then took me by surprise, I think Ashley Jensen, wasn't she recently in Afterlife?
She was.
She plays the nurse with
Extras was the first thing.
and Extras as well. So Agatha Raisin, again, you'd probably say it's one of your warm, bit like Midsummer Murder type TV shows now, but the books have gained huge following. But I received an email a while ago from somebody who said that they were on holiday and they were reading the MC Beaton book, Pushing Up Daisies. And in the book, there is a passage where Agatha Raisin has to be interviewed by the local press because she wants to get more information out there to try and find the killer, etc., etc. And she's interviewed by Claire Carter of Radio Gloucestershire. And it tells us that Claire was a deft and experienced interviewer. And it was after one of my interviews with MC Beaton that before she left the studio, she said, I'll write you into one of my books. And I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. And turns out before she died, she did. So if anybody would like to read Pushing Up Daisies, there will be a Claire Carter from Radio Gloucestershire. And that is me. So I actually feature in a detective book.
That is awesome.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Do you get like a penny for every time they sell a book?
No, PR didn't even send me a copy.
Oh my God.
I honestly don't mind.
So what if they
what
if they make that as part of the series then? Will they get you to come in and
then I'm available. Give me a call. But I mean, it's not a huge part of the plot at all. She needs to go in and be interviewed, and that interviewer is Claire Carter. But it was just, I thought it was actually a really classy move by MC.
Yeah.
And as an interviewer, as you guys will know, sometimes when I say you don't get a lot of praise, people obviously are focusing on the star or the person that you're speaking to, which rightly so. But every now and again, somebody might come along and they'll be interviewed by you guys, and you probably had it where they say, oh my God, I really enjoyed that. And that is the highest form of praise. If your interviewee can walk away and say, I really enjoyed it. And I think the fact that she took the time to write my name down and remember it and put it in, I thought that was really
that's
classy.
very cool.
Yeah, it is awesome.
So
it's
that's
there
why,
for all time, isn't it? Oh,
and especially if you get that sort of compliment from somebody that is sort of really well known and that they've done loads of interviews.
Yeah.
If they come back and say,
as I say, from my days in Gloucestershire and presenting here in Somerset and stuff, I would probably say once every maybe 3 years I get an email from a listener going, I was on holiday and I read this book and your name popped up. And it always
that is so cool though.
It always makes me smile.
Oh, bless. What a great number one. Go on then, Neil, beat that.
Fantastic. Okay, I won't beat that because I've never appeared in any of his comics. Batman. As simple as it's a childhood
the world's greatest detective.
So they say, but it stems from being a childhood reading the comics, still guiltily reading the graphic novels now, loving the movies, loving everything that he does. My favorite superhero, although he's not really a superhero, is he? It's just a man with money.
Yeah.
But I love everything it stands for, and not loved all the movies, I'll be honest, but yeah, I do love the character. There's not a lot more I can say. Everybody knows who Batman is and what he does. I mean,
would you say that it's the one thing, the detective side of things, the one thing that the movies have sort of
coming away from, which is starting to drag you
Whereas
down a bit.
The new one, The Batman, seemed to have a little bit more where it was showing his detective.
Yeah.
Isn't it Ben Affleck?
No, that was
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. Sorry, what's he? Because I've not seen Robert Pattinson as Batman. Is he good?
Really good. I thought he was really, really good. It's a very slow movie, but it's he's really good as it, and there's a lot of detective work going on, which is good compared to the other ones, which are a lot more making him like a superhero kind of thing.
And the newer graphic novels or comics or whatever you want to call them, they're going back to that again, where he's having to work it out and totally use his resources to try and suss what's going on rather than just brawn.
Yeah,
that the movie's turned him into.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. My number one. You actually mentioned him earlier on, Neil. I wasn't going to give it away. It's Inspector Clouseau. I think he has the number one. We haven't done like number one comedy characters. I think he might be up there as my number one comedy character as well. Again, I think the last movie where they pieced together a lot of his stuff, because I think he died. Peter died. Yeah. But the movie with Christopher Plummer is, I can't remember which one that is.
Is that Strikes Back, isn't it?
Is that Strikes Back?
Could be. Oh,
I mean, it doesn't matter which one. There's some great moments, and all of the funny moments are Peter Sellers. It's like, he is a complete, perfect comedy character. I mean, I don't know. Is it classed as un-PC now to have an Englishman playing a Frenchman that's like saying words in a not the correct way? I don't know whether I don't know whether it would travel well in the 2020s. I really don't know.
Well, they still do the LOLO plays. on stage.
Well, I know they do, but how many teenagers or 20-somethings are watching that? I don't know. The same as like if I showed that to my kids, would they laugh or would they sort of go, well, that's just a bit weird?
What's going on?
Yeah. Whereas for me, you've only got to see the scene of all like 4 of them in the lift. And then there's the fart noise or whatever. Or the one bit that always makes me laugh is I think he's sat in a discotheque. Oh my God.
Discotheque.
Groovy dad. Discotheque.
I don't think it's the French accent that's going to bother your kids.
No, I don't think it is.
Discotheque.
So they're bopping away at the discotheque, and there's a woman there dancing with like thrusting her fists out, and he walks past and it smacks him straight in the face. Little things like that. It just always makes me laugh. But I think
just
that's
physical humor, isn't it?
I love Laurel and Hardy. I love Laurel and Hardy, and that's exactly where it is. It's those kind of.
That's why Leslie Nielsen works so well as well.
Exactly.
Physical humor.
Exactly. I completely agree. So there we go. We've got a few honourable mentions. Let me just whiz through these. Liz Art said Inspector Morse. Jen Berg, hello Jen, said Laura Holt from Remington Steele. I never watched I never watched Remington Steele. Stu Grant, Clouseau, Batman, Charlie Farley from Phantom Raspberry Blower of Old.
Oh my God.
Somerset from Seven, Jessica Fletcher, of course. Eddie Valiant from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Frank Drebin, JJ Gitz. Gitz? Is it Gitties? Is it Gitz from Chinatown?
It's
JJ No, I do.
It's not Gitz. I think it's Gitties.
Is it Gitties?
Well, the Gitz sounds funniest.
Yeah, it does. What's your name? Gitz? Smack. That's why he's got a bad nose. John McClane, Sherlock, the Cumberbatch version. At Cinders_2001. Where do I start?
Read the rhyme. This is great.
Right. I like Columbo for his dog, Sherlock for his hat, Starsky for his cardie, and Scooby for his snacks. But if I had to really pick one, then top billing for me is Joan Hickson's Miss Marple, no contest. I did actually give her a round of applause. That is a her, isn't it? Yeah, it was. I can't remember.
Cinders, yeah.
Yes, I did give her a round of applause for that wonderful bit of. I mean, if I had a beat, I could rap that one. That was so good. At And Why Not, Adrian Monk from Monk, Jessica Fletcher, Murder She Wrote, Magnum PI, Sean Spencer from Psych, Jenny Briscoe from Law and Order, Batman the comic version, Dick Tracy, Richard Castle from Castle, Somerset from Seven, Eddie Ginley from Gumshoe, to name but a few. Oh, and there's another rhyme. Oh, and Gay Perry from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and Daryl Zero from Zero Effect. I've never heard of Zero Effect. Anybody else? No? Okay. Karen Clark, Jimmy Perez from Shetland, played by Dougie Henshaw. Anyone heard of Shetland?
I have. It's a BBC drama. Yeah.
Okay. No, I've never heard of that one. At Steve Chatterley 1, Charlie Chisholm from Minder.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Minder, yeah.
Inspector Chisholm. I don't know why I said
but
it. But
you know, his name became a bit of an insult when we were at school. Anybody that had a large forehead, we used to slap it and go, Chisholm! I don't know why.
You can't say things like that these days, Neil.
No, that's what I said. When we were at school, it became an insult.
In the day.
So if they were receding a little bit or they had a big forehead, we used to slap it.
Stop saying big forehead.
Why can't you say big forehead?
Because you can't, Neil. It's 2022, for goodness sake.
Can't say anything.
You can't say. You definitely can't say big forehead.
Why not?
You can say big forehead.
Of course you can. People have big foreheads. People have.
I've got a massive forehead. It goes all the way back to the back of my head.
I mean, Ant and Dec. Ant's always taking the mickey out of his forehead.
I would love it if we get on a red carpet and you're face to face with Ant or
You
Dec,
slap
whichever way,
him.
and you
shout,
went,
Chisholm.
smacked him on the head.
That's what I'm going to do now. And then I'll tap Dec on the head like Benny Hill bloke.
Right, Claire, if you ever get to meet Ant, is it Ant or Dec? Which one are you talking about? Ant, isn't it?
Ant's got the, yeah.
Okay.
I'll do a Chisholm for you.
Do a Chisholm for us. And finally, Lisa Buchanan says, right, now it's MMA, Ma Precious Ramotswe, from the #1 Ladies Detective Agency. A book series by Alexander McCall Smith.
Didn't they make it? They made a TV
series. Briefly, it was a series on HBO, but couldn't possibly do the books, do justice to the books. And Charlie's Angels.
No, it was on the BBC.
That's what I thought it was on the BBC.
The #1 detectives agency. It was absolutely on the BBC.
Oh, right. Okay.
And Yeah, it was.
Oh, right.
Oh, I can't remember her name.
But the name is MMA to start with. I don't know whether that's...
Isn't that a type of martial art?
It is, but I don't know how you say that. It was Ma Precious Ramotswe. But there you go. Thank you, Lisa, for that. That's it. We did it, Claire. We did it.
Jill Scott. I think that was her name. Sorry, that was really going to annoy me. Sorry. I find that really annoys me. We did it. Yes, we did it.
Jill Scott.
I realised that I should have put my honourable mention in and not had mine so male-centric. I had Jane Tennyson from Prime Suspect.
Oh, don't start trying to be so...
because she
things
was
up
in
now,
there.
Neil.
Did you ever watch Prime Suspect, Claire? Helen Mirren?
No.
No, I don't think I have.
That was
my
fantastic.
honourable mention was my friend messaging me going, "You've got to mention Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock in Heat." I can't even remember what their characters were called. I was like, "That is seriously your honourable mention." Yeah. So
I'll mention Charlie's Angels then. If we're going to put, I'll put some women in. I'll have 3 of them. I'll have Charlie's Angels.
Well done, you.
Thank you very much. I feel like I've done my bit.
Now go and read a book.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, thank you very much, Claire. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. Oh, before we actually say our proper goodbyes, Neil, do you want to tell everybody how they can get in touch and all
Absolutely. You can find us on all the social medias under Top 10 Pods. That's at Top 10 Pods. You give us a click, give us a like, give us a follow, whatever it is you do. Email us at top10pods@hotmail.com, where you can send in ideas for lists or other questions you may have. Come and help support the podcast at patreon.com/top10pods, where there's all sorts of rewards you can get, even being a guest on the podcast yourself. Check out all the links via the Linktree. You can find the link in the show notes. And please do come, subscribe, leave a review, rating, wherever you get your podcast from.
Well done. Beautifully done. Claire, thank you so much. I'm assuming now that you have to go off to Bedfordshire to get ready for your work in the morning.
So normally, I would have been in bed about 45 minutes ago.
Oh.
So
what time do you have to rise?
So my alarm goes off at 3:45.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Well, sleep well, Claire.
Now I'm gonna watch the rest of the footy, ladies in the women's Euros.
Oh yeah.
But this has been an absolute joy and delight. Honestly, I think you guys are great, and I love this podcast. It's great to do it when I can. So thank you so much.
Again. Please come back again. We'll have you back. And if you're not doing anything, like at the end of January, come and join me for another hour again for the 24-hour podcast, because we'll have another. We'll get you, Nibsy, and Faye together again for another.
And I still want to drink a bottle of wine and live tweet the very first time I watched Star Wars, because I've still never seen it.
I would live tweet with you. We could sit and watch
we'll
it
do it
together.
Yeah,
fantastic. And then because you'll be asking questions. I know you'll be asking questions, and I can answer the questions for you to my best of my ability.
My go-to.
We'll do that. Excellent. Thank you so much, Neil.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Pat. Thank you very much, Claire. It's been a joy to see you.
Neil.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody else. Now let's go start the countdown.
Ten, 9,